touches on another very important point, Linda, right? Which is just the general understanding. Because obviously, if it is a new topic, right? Let's face it, although AI itself is decades old as a
Yeah.
concept, as an idea, with the launch of generative AI, right, back in 2022, now that's what everyone is looking forward to, right? How can I have a tool that makes my life easier and ideally subsequently the life of my team and my department and my organization? But how this is achieved is still quite obscure, right? Most
Mm.
people cannot really define or explain how a large language model works, right? They sometimes have not maybe used even some of these popular tools, right? Like ChatGPT or Copilot or any of these solutions that are now basically available, more broadly available, right?
Welcome to the podcast, everyone. My name is Line Østergaard, and today we're thrilled to have a very special guest with us. Welcome, Behsad. Behsad is the CEO of Pharmax. He has over 25 years of experience in pharmaceutical sales, marketing, consulting across US, Europe, and Asia. He's a true industry veteran, and he has a stellar track record of advising multinational clients and currently leads up Pharmax headquarters in Switzerland. Given his extensive experience, and he works very closely with clients on AI initiatives, we're excited to hear his insights on the evolving AI landscape and its transformative impact on the pharmaceutical industry. So, Behsad, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Linda, for having me. Thank you.
So, in our last episode, we discussed who within the company should really take responsibility for the rise of AI in pharma. Now, I'm curious, how can pharma companies figure out the right AI opportunities to align with their specific business needs?
Yeah. So this is, I would say, a very typical challenge, right, that we see these days in many of the organizations. And I would say what we see in organizations where this seems to work is where people come and understand first, I would say, a bit of a roadmap, right? What is it that the organization is really after when they think of AI? Many companies immediately jump into pilots. We see people saying, okay, let's try doing something, which obviously is a way to start, right? You could just come and say, okay, we have identified a few things, let's try out. I'm not sure if that will really lead to sustainable results because when you have chosen the pilot, maybe not in a way so that it's scalable, that it can really show value to the organization, it
Mhm.
might just be something you do and then again stop, right? And not continue. So I actually believe one key point is to think a bit of a roadmap. What is it that we as an organization want to achieve with AI? And to do that, obviously, you need a bit of championship, right, from senior management. So there needs to be some embracement of the idea of having AI in the organization. And when you then can develop a roadmap, which does not need to be 5 years in the future, but maybe for the
Mm.
next 12 months, 18 months, I guess you might be in a good position then also to select those pilots that can do the trick, can serve the purpose of showing the organization that AI can really help to improve efficiencies and the effectiveness.
So you would say it's more like conscious piloting?
Yeah, I think that's a very good way to put it. I think yes, conscious. I like that. Conscious
Yeah.
piloting. That probably makes a lot of sense, and to secure championships from the people that in the end have to decide whether they want to continue on this or not.
And in your experience, does that championship lies mostly with senior management or a mix between senior management and people out in the organization?
It's a mix. I mean, we often see that there are innovators in organizations that really like the idea of having these new technologies, these new tools around to help them do jobs faster, easier, better. But they need the support of their surroundings, right? They need the support of their management, enabling them to really pursue this idea, right? I mean,
Hmm.
we are humans. Often the idea starts with an individual that says, I have an idea, I like to maybe try out something. So it's both. It's both senior management, but it's also the individual, the innovator that really wants to drive an idea.
Great, thank you. So on that note, let's say I'm a director of marketing in a pharmaceutical company, and I've identified an opportunity where AI could enhance our efficiency. What would you recommend the practical steps would be that I should take to turn this opportunity into action and kind of successfully integrate into our marketing operations?
Yeah, that's a great question because we often see, if I may, how not to do it, right? So I would suggest that anyone who thinks of bringing this opportunity to life, right, this AI idea to life, he or she should really think about it almost like a business case. So,
Mhm.
like as good practice, right? We should always think from the end back and then think, okay, what do we want to achieve? What is it that we envision this to add, right? What value is this opportunity adding, right, to my work or the work of my team or the work of my department? So think of it as a business case, right? So which would include things like what timelines are we thinking of here? What type of investment do we want to take? And most importantly, what type of outputs and results do I want to drive? We often see that organizations jump into pilots because they are just very eager to start something and don't clearly articulate what is it that I want to get, right?
Mhm.
And I think the thinking upfront about what is the actual return that I want to see from this pilot is really crucial because it's rarely just a numerical number, right? It's not that it's an ROI, it's a revenue that I want to get back. With these new innovations, we typically don't see a lot of very defined numerical numbers already being validated and around. So think both about, let's say, qualitative and quantitative KPIs. The
Mhm.
more you do that thinking upfront, I guess the easier is it also to understand whether your project can really deliver those, and then you can define how you want to track those and make it a success.
Do you think there exists a little bit of like AI is the new fun tool everybody wants to get? And because what you're saying is basically like traditional approaches, right? To look into whatever idea I have as a director and want to implement. But do you think it would be helpful if people could understand better what AI could deliver for them before kind of jumping into a project?
Yeah, that is, I think that touches on another very important point, Linda, right? Which is just the general understanding. Because obviously, if it is a new topic, right? Let's face it, although AI itself is decades old as a
Yeah.
concept, as an idea, with the launch of generative AI, right, back in 2022, now that's what everyone is looking forward to, right? How can I have a tool that makes my life easier and ideally subsequently the life of my team and my department and my organization? But how this is achieved is still quite obscure, right? Most
Mm.
people cannot really define or explain how a large language model works, right? They sometimes have not maybe used even some of these popular tools, right? Like ChatGPT or Copilot or any of these solutions that are now basically available, more broadly available, right? And I think there's a bit of that need. You probably need to go and do a little bit of research by yourself to understand how these technologies, broadly speaking, right, how they do what they're doing, because only with that you understand not just what they potentially can do for you, the gains
Yeah.
that you can have from these technologies, but I would say also importantly where they might fall short and where maybe some of these technologies might not perform well in what you have in mind and what you potentially need to get achieved. So I guess that homework is what we all have to do, right? If you
Yeah.
want to be change agents, we all have to understand what these technologies can do. That doesn't mean that we have to go and study and become machine learning and AI experts, but having some good, sound, basic understanding, I think that is what we all require. Which means getting some expert input, getting a person, an organization from the outside that can help to teach and explain and do a bit of hand holding might often be a good idea.
Sounds good. So could be a little bit of maybe getting somebody like yourself or somebody from your team into maybe brainstorm or do some discovery in the beginning before actually presenting a project.
And we do
All
this.
right. Yeah.
Sorry, but I just,
No, go
we
ahead.
do that. Actually, we do sometimes having these kind of creative sessions, right? We call them AI brainstormings, where we just come and sit for a handful of hours with a customer or a prospect and are just discussing about what is it you're actually after? What is it that you try to achieve, right? And not always at the end we come back and say, oh, you know what, there's now a defined project, because sometimes we end up saying, for what you need or what you're aspiring to do, you actually need a different type of solution. You might not need an AI solution, right? Or what you aspire to have currently is not possible with AI, right? Yeah. So I think that's just also an option, that you might end up not doing something, but sometimes that might also be the better approach, right?
I like that. And of course, listening to podcasts as this one, so that you can, get as much information and input as possible. So, Behsad, thank you so much for sharing your invaluable insights today in our podcast. It's been really fascinating to have this discussion with you, how pharma companies can really identify their opportunities within the AI space, and take practical steps to integrate AI into strategies, overcome challenges in the adoption process.
Thank you so much, Lynn. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
So, absolutely, have you back anytime. And for you, our listeners, this is just the beginning. This is a new podcast we're running. In future episodes, we'll dive further into AI, explore specific applications, success stories, bringing you some case stories, and addressing any questions or concerns you may have. So if there's something you'd like us to cover, feel free to really comment on this post, comment on the blog, on the podcast. Your feedback is very valuable. So thank you again for tuning in. Don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn if you want to stay connected to the podcast. We'll also put it on YouTube. So until next time, keep exploring AI, try it out for yourself, and see you at the next one.